Hey guys, today I had a weird dream. Okay, so basically, if I if I remember correctly, I was walking around something. I see, oh, I see, I see like five thumbnails where I've like one of these videos where I'm just talking to the camera, and I see like five videos of me laying here, right, like in my bed and talking to the camera, like the thumbnails and stuff. And then I see two videos with thumbnails where I'm not in my bed, I'm just sitting, and like it's not me laying down, it's me sitting. And instead of one view and one like, or two views and one like, it was like 59 views and 7 likes, and the other one I didn't see how many, but I was focusing on one of them and I was like, whoa. And when I woke up I was like, oh, okay, that didn't happen. um so that's one of I guess that's one of the list. Nah, that's another thing on the list where I'm like, I woke up and I was like, no, why didn't that happen? I remember I dreamt I got a GoPro like a way long ago, a long time ago, I guess, before I had a GoPro. And I was like, yo, I can use it for so much. Oh my god. And then I woke up and I was like, yeah, time to use it. And then, no, I don't have it anymore. And yeah, it was kind of sad because I just woke up with like the feeling of like, I'm gonna use my GoPro now. And yeah, it's not there. Or it wasn't there. I do have a GoPro now, but that's, I don't know. I don't do things that require GoPros very often. Like I do some videos on my main channel where I I was awoken by birds. They went like, I'm like, yeah, yeah. But yeah, on my main channel I make cooking videos with it every blue moon, like every quarter of my life, I guess. I have like recorded one, and I'm trying to get through the editing. It's not that it's hard, it's just that I've forgotten. Oh, I've forgotten so many things about editing that it's just like so slow. And I don't know. It's kind of a funny video, but it's a little long. No, it's not long. It's actually shorter than I thought. I thought it would be way longer because I used a different technique than I normally used for gathering the footage. Like before, I would just keep everything, like the video files, in like 3 files and record like everything. But I realized like, oh shit, I don't need to like have 3 hours worth of content for a video that's about making toast. Okay, I don't think 3 hours is the right amount. I I had like way too much footage, and I had to I don't know. I would keep in bad jokes, I guess. No, there weren't bad jokes. They were just not very easy to spot because a joke would happen like don't. Maybe I don't remember actually. So I don't know. I'm really tired, so I don't know. Mm, yeah, no, I don't remember. I'm just like I don't know. I'm starting to brain. I'm starting to brain a little bit. Yeah, I definitely should have. Because when I went to sleep, I was like, okay, I'm gonna have fresh air in the morning, so I'm gonna keep my window open and I'm gonna keep the blinds up. But what that did was that it just, I don't know, there is a nest of birds right, like in the gutter by my window. And so every now and then I hear, like, right, like in my ear, basically. And it's, I don't know, it was painful. But I was like paralyzed because of my medicine. So I couldn't really do anything about it. So I was just like laying here, like, oh, Jesus Christ. And then I was like, I don't know, I fell asleep. But then I woke up, and I fell asleep, and I woke up, and then I fell asleep. The cycle. And yeah, waking up and falling asleep that many times is just like draining my energy, I guess. I could have spent the time now instead of making this to sleep more, but I don't think I would be able to. But now, I don't know. I was just kind of just laying here and like thinking to myself. So I was also just like, why not film another video? And now I'm realizing, like, bruh, I definitely, I definitely need to sleep more. Oh, jeez. I I have also been drinking more and oh, that's true. I drank coffee yesterday. Oh, that's probably also why I'm so fucking tired. No, I also went home. Oh. I don't know. I also went to bed like relatively late. Um, top 10 top 10 content of the day. hmm Talking about literally nothing. Okay, so let's talk about the socioeconomic states. I don't know what I'm referring to right there. That's just the first word that came to mind. Oh yeah, yesterday I was blendering the whole day. Yeah, I think so. Yeah. And I was making a figure or a character, I mean, with a more interesting, or I tried making a character with a more interesting silhouette than just hourglass figure. Uh, it kind of just became a an hourglass plus. Um, because it definitely it definitely had hourglass figure to it. And I don't know, it's at least got more like things sticking out and stuff instead of just like a smooth flow. But I'm not sure if the stuff that I added actually like will work, because I modeled everything uh, in a way that now it's like low poly and just to like block it out. And so I have to go in and I have, oh my god, bruh, I have to go in and model each thing now. And I'm not very fond of hard surface modeling, so it might be a little annoying to go through and model everything. Because now I just have them as planes, um, with a solidify modifier and a bevel modifier. So they're like really basic now, but they get the idea across. It's just that I need to actually do more than just like slap on a few modifiers on a few planes. Because yeah, it's not exactly, I don't know, it's low poly. It is kind of boring. It's kind of boring, but it's also kind of cool, I guess. Yeah, I was trying to make a, I don't know, I was trying to make uh like head models for characters, but they ended up looking really bad because I was trying to like make them more and more detailed. So they started out good and then they ended up looking bad, and I stopped working on them instead of like pushing through and like fixing the problems that I could see. I just made more and more problems because every now and then I forget basically like what makes a head like cool, and I look more at like, or I think back at more like at the, okay, what is it how is it supposed to look instead of what makes it look better, right? It's a big difference. Because you can have something where it looks more like it's supposed to than, I don't know. Today I'm gonna have to go outside because I am getting a new SIM card. That's true. So I'm gonna go and do that. I'm gonna go to my mom and like pick it up. Oh, that means I'm going to have to. No, my Italian friend is gonna come over to make sushi later, and I wanna like meet Leah, which is my little sister. She's like soon 2 years old, I think. Or is she three? No, she's two. Bro, I'm so disconnected from my family. Not because they don't wanna like be, because they really wanna be like around me, and it's mostly that I don't know. I like working on projects and stuff, and I like having time for myself. So I rarely like make time for my family, and I have the thought like every now and then, like, oh no, they're going to die soon, so I'm gonna like miss out on like talking with them, and then I'm like, oh no, because they're not actually going to die soon. I hope, or I don't actually. Well, I do sometimes believe that, because like, oh, why would I get to know? Why would I spend time with someone who's about to die? Because it's not that they're like my family, the people in my family aren't sick or anything. It's just my mind being like, yo, they're gonna die someday and you're gonna miss them, and you should probably like go talk with them. And like, yeah, sure. And then I'm like, because I want to also like make stuff, and I get so like tired and stuff when I'm with my family, or with when I'm, because usually when I meet my family and stuff, it's often in a situation where it's like a lot of people as well. And I guess that's because I only like meet my family and stuff in like at birthdays or like at events where everyone is just there. And so that's kind of why I'm associating meeting my family and stuff with a lot of stress, because I don't like a lot of people in the same place. I like very few people in a given time, basically. Like, I love having time with like one person at a time, but with family it's kind of like harder to get like one, like getting time with just one person at a time, because it's often like a lot of people at the same time, and I don't really like that. But every now and then I do get that. And also my family keeps like, or people in my family keep trying to contact me, and I'm just like, no, I don't want to take the phone now. And then I just like, I don't know, some people get like upset because I'm not like answering my phone, and then some people understand it and like, okay, it's okay, but just like answer this message. And then I don't even answer the message, because sometimes they just like they call me and then they're like, you gotta pick up the thing, and I'm just like, send it on message please. And they're like, no, I gotta tell you on the phone, because for whatever reason. And often the reason is because they just want to hear my voice and stuff, because they haven't heard from me in like a month. um and so like, I don't know, like I'm not very, I don't know, I don't really, I don't know, I don't really keep track with people over the like very long time. Everything just kind of like blends in, I guess. It's just like, yo, okay, people have a life, and I have a life, and if I worry too much about like what's going on in other people's life, I'm not going to like chill. No, I'm not gonna. I don't know. I want to focus on like what can I change and do differently and stuff, and to like get better at the things that I'm trying to get better at, and not. I'm not thinking very much about like, I wonder what that person is doing or how that person is doing. It's more like my brain is just like really occupied with like, oh, I gotta practice saxophone today. Oh, I gotta model in Blender today. Like that's basically all the like when I have time to just like wake up, whenever um whenever I wake up and then just like slowly go through my morning routine and then get to spend my entire day working on something. That's like, oh, I love that. But it's kind of not very, it's not a very good thing, because in the long run, like I feel like I have less motivation to improve as much as much as I had when I was working at a studio thingy. Because there I was like, oh my god, if I don't learn this shit, all this effort from everyone else is going to be wasted, and like it's all on me now. And it was never like all on me. I it was kind of like my brain dramatizing uh, the situation, because I was just under a whole lot of stress, I think. And instead of, yeah, I don't know, I couldn't really do anything. I was just basically my own worst enemy, because I was just like, oh no, this is all on me now. I am the last thing in the thing. And I don't know, I would think very, I would put I would think of myself as like having a role where stuff mattered, but when I look back, I didn't really have any, I wasn't given very many tasks that were important, if that makes any sense, because I wasn't able to like finish my tasks, because I was just, I don't know, I was never, or the more stressed I got, the harder it was to just like do a thing that I knew I could do in 5 minutes. Like I would say, like, oh yeah, I can do that in 5 minutes. Like if they said, oh, can you model this thing really simply, and can you like uh, implement this into Unreal? And I'm just like, yeah, I can do that. That's literally like 10 clicks. And that should take about 5 to 10 minutes. And then I sit there for 3 days, and I'm just like, oh my god, how do I even start? And then they were like, bro, how do you not do this? And then when I realized, like, oh shit, okay, I was starting to realize that, oh yeah, I actually do still have autism, because I thought I was like wrongly diagnosed at the age of 8. Like I when I became, or when I was going to high school, or getting into high school, I I was just like, okay, now I've moved. I don't want to be that autistic guy anymore. I want to be Marius. I want to be not autistic. And therefore, I just started acting like I didn't have it anymore. Or I just started masking. That's basically what I did. And I got so good at masking for my, like, to myself, maybe not to everyone else, that I basically forgot, or I just like didn't believe in it anymore. And I used to tell people like, "Oh yeah, I was wrongly diagnosed with autism." And when I look back at it, there were some people who said like, "You could still be autistic even though you think you're not or whatever." And then I was like, "No, no, I am not autistic." And then I just believed it so hard. And then whenever, like in the last parts of where when I had a job, I would like realize like, oh shit, okay, I still have, like, I would research about autism, and I would like draw so many connections, like, oh my god, it makes so much sense. And then when I tried to like explain to people at work, they would just be like, but there's a bad excuse. And I'm just like, no, but it's not an excuse, it's an explanation for why the things. But they were like, nah, you gotta just do it anyway. Or that's at least the vibe I felt like I got back. They might have like that, it might have been just the one guy who was, because I have one image in my head, and that usually means that I'm oblivious to all of the other things, and I'm just like thinking of the one in incident or one thing. And I don't know, I feel like now that I know that I'm, or now that I've realized a lot of my flaws, but also a lot of my strengths with autism, because it's basically a curse and a blessing. I gotta stretch because I'm so fucking tired. Okay. Yeah, autism can definitely be like a curse, but it can also be a blessing. And it's usually down to like what you make of it, kind of. Because there, there are definitely people who have a very hard time living with autism, and there are people who have it easier, but not necessarily easy. It's just like a different difficulty level. So by comparison, it might seem easy, but it's not like actually easy, because we all have problems, and life, it's, even though somebody has it, like there's always going to be someone who has it worse, right? But that doesn't mean you can't have a bad time. Like, just because somebody's like, oh my god, I have been through all of this and that and this, and what you've been through is nothing, so you should just not be upset, and you should just like get yourself together and stuff like that. Because to that person who has to the person who hasn't gone through the insane torture or whatever, like, to them, what they've experienced is like, in context with what, like in their context, it's justified that they feel the way they feel, and therefore it's basically true, because their window of like what's possible, like, I don't know anything about how I would react if suddenly it became like war here in Norway, and like if my home was like destroyed in like a missile strike. um like one guy I was talking with on Discord yesterday, um he told me that like his old house was like hit by a Russian missile, and it, like, his dad lost his job. Luckily not his life, or he didn't say that, at least. But he was also like, um uh he was also like living in a different country, and he felt like he was like nobody needed him. And he also uh he's soon turning the age where he would be forced into the army, and so he would like maybe end up on the front lines or something. And yeah, like compared to him, I have no worries. Like compared to him, my life is like the most perfect. The like if I compared my life to like basically anyone from like 200 years ago, like my life is like unbelievably chill, and it is definitely chill. But even though it's chill, my brain, like the brain can always spot faults or problems. It's not like you're in a good situation and then your brain stops seeing problems that it can fix and stuff. Um, and some like, for example, like the guy that guy I was talking about, he can't really change his situation, and that is like bad for him. I don't know. I feel very uh disconnected from like, because I know that I will never be able to even comprehend like what he's been through. Like even if I watched a million war documentaries, or like if I watch it through a screen, I will never fully grasp how real it actually is. Because the more I look at like movies and stuff, the less real those things work. And I also don't want to like saturate myself with like war footage, because I don't want to sit around with that in my head. So I know I'm ignorant of it, and I know there is plenty of like children dying, and like I know there are tons of videos online where you can like see the horrors. And I'm very happy that I have the choice to not look at any of that, and I don't feel guilty for like not like being absorbed in that, because I know that that stuff will consume me if I let it. And I don't want that to be my life. I don't want to sit here in a basically compared to every other country, I feel like Norway is like the perfect country. It definitely has problems, but it's like the most perfect that I don't know, with the values that I value, or the things that I value. It's like the Norway is like hella based. Um, and I don't want to like the chance of like me living is like low in the like uh, is low in the first place. And I don't know, I feel like if I like even if I did get absorbed into that, I wouldn't really understand how little I actually knew about the stuff. So I choose to stay ignorant because I have the option to. I know it's kind of unfair for the people who like go through that stuff, because they can't choose. They didn't choose to um like grow up in a play like an politically unstable place. Like we don't choose that. Okay, this is kind of like the worst episode, because I'm just basically just explaining how disconnected I am from everything. Because like self-absorbed is like an understatement of when like explaining me. Like self-absorbed is kind of, yeah, it doesn't really do justice of how much I only care about my own things. Like, maybe like I basically want to live in a vacuum, basically. Not entirely in a vacuum. I wanna have the option to go into like a bubble where nothing interacts with me, and the only interactions that I have is me going out of my way to do it. Do it. Um, but that's not really how life works, I guess. I don't know. It would be so cool if I could like alt tab. Like if we had Neuralinks that I could like control a computer with my mind, and I could like meditate while blendering. Oh, that would be so fucking epic. Like, and it might be a little weird me going from talking about like war zones to like, oh, I would love to like sit in silence and like blender. But I don't know, that's like an example of how disconnected I am from the things. Like, I can't comprehend war because I haven't been through it. So any like, even if I say like, oh, it's so bad, like I can't comprehend it. Even though if I say like, oh, it's so bad that people live, and because it's just so terrible that my brain doesn't really allow me to like it. I don't know. Even if if I saw the pictures and videos, I would be. Then if I let them like leave an imprint on me, then I definitely would be more depressed and stuff, because I would see like, oh shit, this could probably happen someday, and like, oh, I don't know, nothing matters because I'm probably gonna get like blown up by a fucking stray missile or something. But I live in a very, hopefully very stable country, and like hopefully won't go through war. But you never know. It might be Third World War looming around the corner, and I have been um like uh theorizing, or not theorizing, but I've been like, oh, it's going to happen soon. It's going to happen soon. It's going to become war, and I'm going to lose everything, and I should just kill myself now because I don't want to go through that. But then I've been like, no, or then I've realized like, oh, okay, I gotta chill because it's likely not gonna happen right here, but it's definitely going to happen somewhere. Like, war is always going to happen, I guess. It's just, I don't know. I'm very fortunate in the fact that I don't have to, like, I can choose to uh, look into that stuff, or I can, like, I don't know. I'm not forced to live through it. And yeah, I don't know. I like that I am disconnected. I like being disconnected. I don't want to be. I don't know. I don't feel the need to like absorb all of like bad stuff. Like, I don't want to, because also my brain is very good at um like giving me a weird perspective on things, and whenever I whenever my brain just goes places, it can feel really convincing and stuff. So if I did look at a lot of those stuff to like learn about, like, oh my god, I should do this and that, like if I do all of that, I don't know, I wouldn't be able to like live my own life because I would just be thinking about that stuff. Um, no, so I don't really. I don't know. I yeah, no, I love Blender, and I love making art, and I love being in a bubble where no external problems exist other than in my head. And yeah, I would take the blue pill, I guess, because I don't wanna. I don't know. I like the life I'm living. I like my brain in the circumstances where it's like not a problem. It definitely has times where it's hard, but it's like I don't know. I feel like overall it's going pretty good. But then every now and then I do have like moments where I'm just like everything just is seems wrong, or there just seems to be a problem where there actually isn't a problem. And yeah, it's kind of whack. Yeah. Do I have any other things to talk about today? I don't know. Nothing has really happened. Or has anything happened? I don't know. I yeah, I've been practicing the saxophone, and I feel like I'm building up some intuition about it. And it's pretty nice. It's a very fun instrument to play, and I'm slowly getting the hang of it. And I'm feeling like I'm starting to like have really like uh tall or high thoughts of what I'm able to do. So I'm definitely going up that Dunning Kruger effect curve, like the Mount Stupid. I'm if I'm not already on it, I'm definitely going up there, and yeah, I'm just trying to drag it out, make it not as steep, but it will definitely be steep, and I can't fight it. It's just I'm gonna have to let it happen. Because if I don't let it happen, I'm gonna give up. And if I get upset that I have gone on the top, it will. I don't know. Oh, I'm probably going to be. I don't know. I feel like. I feel like I'm not putting too much effort in to like be sad that I'm not progressing any faster, and I'm also like feeling patient enough to be okay with it taking the taking long time, because now I've had it in like a month, I think, maybe less, maybe 3 weeks. I don't know. I time is weird, and I don't know how many weeks. It could be 3 months. It could be 1 month. I don't remember. And yeah, it's wait a minute. Was that in did my roommate go home at the 17th. Huh, it's only been two 2 weeks. Wait, no, that yeah, it's only been about what? No, wait. Okay, the 17th. It's the 30th. 31st. It's the 31st of March. Wait a minute. Okay, so that's less than. It's it's around 2 weeks. Oh my god. No, that can't be right. It's only been 2 weeks. I swear, I have no grasp of time. Like the last 2 years, I've every like beginning of the year, I'm just like, whoa, another year passed. Okay, huh? And then I think back and like the last 2 years has just flown by, and I know or I've heard that time only goes faster and faster, and I've just realized like, oh god damn, I have no time left. Like I'm young, very young, pretty young, and I realized like in an instant, everyone that I know will die, and like I will have no time left, and so everything I do is kind of like, oh shit, I'm gonna die. Or I'm not really afraid of death. Like I'm not afraid of dying myself. Like I don't believe in an afterlife. I don't believe in God. I don't believe in any of that stuff. So when I die, what I believe is going to happen with me is that I just cease to exist. It's the same as before I was born. There is no I have no memories, I have no experiences. It's just um it's like being unconscious, right? You don't feel things don't happen when you're unconscious. You kind of like if you pass out, you are where you are before you pass out, and then you're suddenly where you are when you're not passed out, right? When you wake up, to you, you just wake up. And I feel like it's going to be like it is like the experience in between, like when you're unconscious, basically. Like there is nothing. It's your brain doesn't do anything. So it's, or of course the brain must do stuff while you're yeah, because unconscious does not mean brain stops functioning. It's just you're not conscious, right? I think that's how it works. So I believe that it's the same vibe, but it's instead of waking up, you just don't, basically, and like you go from conscious to falling over and like, or I don't know how I'm gonna die, so it might be like a slow painful death, or like might be like years of like, oh, you have cancer in your prostate or something. Because I don't know, I feel like my prostate is like kind of, I don't know, my gut feeling is like, bro, I probably have like some prostate cancer or something. um I don't really believe it enough to like go well, the doctor didn't believe me, and I don't want to, because it's a it's a woman, and I don't want her finger up my ass, because I'm also like talking to her every now and then about like personal stuff, and I feel like, and she's also like my mom's uh like doctor. uh and so I don't know, I would feel very weird if she put her finger up my ass. And yeah, so I would rather have someone else do it, I guess. But I don't know, it uh, sh- she said like people my age don't really get that, but I've also heard like people my age might get that. But I don't know, it might just be another problem that it's that it might it doesn't have to be cancer. It just could be like a symptom of something else, I guess. mm, but yeah, it I I feel like when I die, I it it will just everything will cease. So I'm more afraid of like my family dying, or like people that I know dying, because dying is kind of feels sounds kind of easy to do. Like you could just be here and then you could just not. And a lot of people are afraid of death because uh, or me explaining how people I don't know, I think we've already established that I'm very disconnected from what the average person thinks. um I don't know what the general sense consensus of the things in life are. But yeah, I find like I feel like people are afraid of death because it's like, oh my god, what is gonna happen? Or like, oh, I don't wanna die because I it would hurt or whatever. But like if I die, even if I got like torn to shreds and I was like conscious for 10 hours, like getting like fucking beat up or whatever, when I die, those 10 hours won't mean a thing. Like the pain that I felt in the moment that I'm conscious, it just won't be there afterwards. And therefore, it's like, huh, okay, wow, okay, I guess it's. But of course, I'm not saying that those 10 hours would be like, wouldn't be bad. Like, those 10 hours could be like agonizing. But when I'm actually dead, like if they were to revive me and like do the same thing over and over again, kind of like USA doing in the time the when they did the like after like 9/11 and stuff, when they did the I don't know, I watched one video about that stuff, so I'm probably ignorant about something. um but yeah, even if they like had medical doctors and like a medical staff keeping me like alive for as long as possible, just to like torture me or whatever, like when the 10 hours is up and I actually die, or whenever the time is over and like I actually die, like I don't believe I'm going to like live afterwards. So like I'm not going to heaven and like, oh my god, that was so fucking agonizing. Or I'm not going to hell and like, oh my god, it's just gonna get worse. Like I believe that when my brain stops for the last time, or like makes me unconscious for the last time, it just won't be like, it's kind of like um to me it seems like you take a computer or a battery and then you just like remove the battery. But then if you were able to like scan a brain like in Soma and like put me back into life, Like I maybe like if I was able to create stuff, and I would be able to live in like a digital realm, kind of like the Oasis or like the player. No, no. Oh, the movie where they're like everyone is in like a dystopian future, and like the VR world is the only world basically. Like that, if I were able to like become Blender, like my arms are tools in Blender. Oh my god, that would be so fucking epic. Like I would maybe have less of a reason to make it if my brain didn't brain, but maybe if like they managed to actually like recreate a brain in my lifetime, like if AI helps out and like, yo, you don't need to like do all of this shit, you can just like do, you can just simulate this stuff. And like, because we're like we are, our brains do so much more than we think we're doing. And if we have to simulate all of the subconscious things as well, that might be like very unlikely to happen in my lifetime. But the things that our brains do consciously, even the conscious things are kind of subconscious things. Like when I move my arm, I am consciously thinking like, okay, I need to move. Or well, no, I'm not thinking I need to move my arm. I'm moving my arm, right? And that's kind of like, how do you? Well, they are getting there. They're like making um bionic arms and stuff that you can move with your brain, and that's so fucking cool because it means that like when you lose an arm, you don't lose the arm in your head, kind of like your brain still has a phantom version of it, like at least how I've understood it, if I have understood it correctly, like your brain still has the neurons for the arm and the hand. And so like the phantom pain that people get when they have amputated limbs, um like the brain still has the arm in its like in the in there somewhere. And when you tap into those signals that your, or the area where your hand still is, you can like use those signals to control motors to like move an arm that's not yours. And the better that that gets, and the better our sensor technologies and stuff, like the stuff with VR gloves and like bodysuits where you can like feel pain and you can like feel touch, like that's so cool of a concept, right? And when we're able to connect, like when we're able to um bridge the gap between like bionic arms and like being able to feel when you touch stuff as well, like sending signals to the brain as well, and like adapting, because the brain is so fucking adaptable. It's so fucking cool. I love thinking about this stuff because the brain is just like a glob of wires that just like, if you just do a thing enough times, it will just like figure it out. And yeah, that is basically how I'm learning many things. Like it doesn't matter if what I'm doing is fully calculated, because or if it's fully calculated, or if it's just me doing a thing consistently. Like the brain just kind of like is a soup type. It's not soup, it's like a glob, like a, I don't know, it couldn't even hold up its own weight. If you put it on the table, it will get brain damage, because it, like, the weight of it will just crush itself, because it's like a gooey thingy. um and I don't know, I love thinking about the brain, because it's, you're both kind of in control of it, but you're also kind of a servant to the brain. Like you're like, your conscious experience is kind of like, I don't know how many percents of the brain activity it is, but maybe it's like a percent of what you're experiencing is like, no, like maybe a percent of what the brain is doing is like consciously available or whatever. You're like, you can observe it yourself, and there's so many things that you, like, if you don't question it, it's just like, oh yeah, that's just how reality works. And it could, like, how reality is could be completely different from two people, like for two people. Like the colors that I see in theory could be completely different from what everyone else sees. We don't have, like, because when we learn about colors, we learn about, or when we learn the different colors and stuff in school and like stuff like that, we learn the that those colors, those are called red. And some people are colorblind, and maybe everyone is kind of like different, like sees different colors. Like this is my one of my theories about stuff. Like maybe everyone sees, like maybe more people see different colors, but the colors are just kind of hue shifted. Like, of course it makes sense that when I see a magenta color, it's magenta, and like, because I know that just changing the hue doesn't really change like very much, because it would just be a hue change. But if it's like colors that exists only to me, even though we know that like there are these many colors, like if my brain, for instance, like processes it differently, so like maybe not just a hue change, but like a fundamental difference of in like how I perceive colors. Like I don't know if, and you don't really know, because when you look at a video, you're seeing your brain's version of that video. Someone could look at the same video and see completely different things, even though it's the same video, right? But it could also be that like that's kind of not correct or whatever. Because I've seen theories or heard of theories where like everything that you see, like you don't get a raw feed of whatever your eyes see, because your brain is like filtering out your nose and the blind spots and the narrow field of view where everything, or like the part where things are in focus is very narrow, like it's barely there, and everything else is just like out of focus. You don't experience everything as like out of focus, kind of. Well, maybe yeah, I guess, but you can still like make out. Like I can look at the door even though I'm looking at the clock, right? I can look at the door handle even though I'm looking like it's like a 45-degree away. Like I can look at the chair while staring at the clock, right? It's not like, how do I look at a chair when I'm not looking at a chair? Like, how do I do that? It's because the brain is like zooming in digitally, right? It's kind of like, I don't know. I love how I love thinking about how the brain works, because it's kind of a mystery for everyone. Because some people will say like, "Oh no, this is it's just it's not that fancy. It's just it's just how life is, and like it's just how the brain works, I guess." And it's pointless thinking about it because for why whatever reason. But I find it very very I don't know. I like asking myself like, okay, how does my brain perceive this? Like, why did I feel this way? Why do I think this? Or why do I, like, instead of just thinking like, okay, this is just correct because this is how I think, and this is no, this is what's correct because it is correct, right? It's more like, why is this correct? And why is this correct to me? Why isn't it correct to everyone? And like seeing like, okay, different perspectives on from different experiences impact like your view on stuff. And being open to seeing that like, okay, my brain, my conscious experience isn't always correct. Like for example, Dunning-Kruger effect type thing. Like your conscious experience, you are the best at whatever you're doing, and like you're better than the experts, and everything that you can see is pointing towards that you're correct about that, but you're not, right? You think you're better because your view of like your insight to like your information is lacking so much, like the way that you can't see how little you actually know. So your brain goes like, yeah, okay, I know everything, because you don't see how much you don't know yet. And I feel like that's kind of, I don't know, it kind of goes, it shows up so many places, like your brain just making up something. Because I don't know, it's life isn't just like the brain isn't a logical machine that goes like, okay, this is this happened, therefore this will happen, and there this will happen. It can change so much, and it your brain has like safety features kind of built in. Like if you, for example, have like way too much stress, you could start become delusional, and you can like uh kind of like how I thought people were out to get me when I was like very stressed about like feeling like I'm going to lose my job and stuff, which did end up happening in the end. And I'm actually like really happy that it happened, because that workplace was very toxic and like ruining me like with time and also like very quickly. Um, but yeah, it's very cool, or I find it very fascinating to think of like the brain not as a computer, like a logical thing, but more as like a very soft and malleable thing that always changes. Like you can always change your view on stuff, and you can always change as a person, even though it can seem hard. Like if you've been taught to think in a certain way, like you can always learn to unlearn that method or that way of thinking. And we have a lot of control over, like we can take control over some stuff, but there is also a lot of stuff that we don't really control. Like a lot of automatic things, like subconscious processes. I don't know. A lot of things that you don't have control over, and thinking about why, like, how does the brain do things, and nobody really knows because it's just way too complex, right? There are so many or there are no moving parts, but there are, yeah, it's a solid state type beat. I guess you could think of the blood as like, that's kind of a moving part, I guess. You do have moving parts. You do have the molecules and stuff, dopamine, serotonin, and the neuroactivators and neurodepressants and the neurotoxins. Yeah, nah, you have like all of the chemicals that the brain releases and stuff. It is kind of interesting to think, like, yeah, the brain does kind of do its thing, right? And every now and then I'm just like, bro, that animal is definitely conscious. Like, I look at animals and I'm just like, how can't they, how are they not conscious? How do we consider them not conscious? Like for example, dolphins and stuff. Like, bro, they're fucking conscious. Like, I don't like the documentary I've seen or we saw in school where like they were like captured and like they were like a star of a show or whatever, and they were mistreated and stuff, and then they stopped breathing in the in the lap of the guy who treated them good, like the one guy who were like treating them nicely. Like uh, they said like, okay, dolphins, they need to think that, okay, now I need to take a breath. Like, they don't breathe automatically like us, right? Because they're, for some reason, I don't know, I'm not gonna explain why they do it because I'm not a marine biologist and I'm not educated about that stuff. I only like ask myself things and like ponder upon things and make my own theories. But anyway, that dolphin like swam into his arms and just stopped breathing and just sank to the ground and like died in his arms, right? And like, because they were like severely uh like they were treated horribly, and like, yeah, I wouldn't want to live in like a torture camp either. And if I could drown myself that easily, like, I would definitely do that, because I would be like, oh my god, why are these flesh people going around and like shoving me up places and stuff? And I don't know, it just seems like there must be. Well, then again, my little sister is definitely not conscious. She can do many things, but not perceive. Like, you can see, whenever you make like if you've taken a introduction course to like programming and stuff, or like game programming, and you've done like those like move left with 5 blocks and loop for this amount and then move right after that, and then if item is on the right, pick it up, if else, move right or whatever, and then you like see it go like each step at a time, like toot 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 dude, that's kind of how my little sister works. Like, you say something and she stops and she looks, and then she goes like, okay, or this is how in from what I observe, it looks like, okay, he said egg. Okay, I know of an egg. We had eggs today. No, it wasn't that. It was the the shaking egg. And then she's like, oh, okay. And then she looks around. Okay, where is it? Where is it? And then she looks around, and then she gets distracted. Maybe she finds a shoe, and then she's like, "Whoa, I found a shoe!" Or she just sits down and plays with the shoe or whatever. And then you say like, "Go find the egg," and then she goes like, "Egg, okay, egg, okay, oh, the shaky egg." And then she goes around, looks for the shaky egg. Maybe she gets distracted again, but maybe she finds the egg, and then she goes and finds the egg, and then she's like, okay, I have the egg. What do I do? Oh, okay, I give it to him. And then you can like see the process. It's happening so slowly because she's developing those pathways in her head. And that is like, it's kind of motivating. Like, I'm seeing her like picking up Lego pieces, or I was playing with her like a week ago. Oh my god, time does not pass, or does it? Just it passes both really quickly and really slowly at the same time. But anyway, I was over at my mom and stepdaddy's place, and I was like playing around with my little sister, and we were starting to draw stuff. Like, I had my sketchbook with me, and I also had a lot of musical instruments. And it was so funny, like looking at her being so happy about the shaking egg that I had with me. So I just gave her it because I had two. I don't know where the other one is. I think I might have lost it, so now I have none until I find the other one, I guess. I have some ideas of where it is, but anyway, it has been so inspiring to see her. For example, when I played with her, we were drawing, and she was so fascinated by the pencils, or because they were like crayons in a pen form, if that makes sense, or a marker form, like plastic handle with a cork on it, or like a like a like a cork or whatever. And she would struggle first with like putting them back on, but then she got the hang of it, and I was just sitting there looking at like this very simple task. Like, she found it very hard to put on. Like, I remember I showed her Duplo. Like, I showed her that I was connecting, or I was playing around with Duplo, and then I showed her me connecting two pieces together, and then she picked up the pieces and she just smashed them together and like got upset because they didn't connect. Like, she didn't realize like there's one connecting part, and like, or one side that goes into the other, and like the other sides don't connect. But now she's starting to like have those pathways connect, and like I can see that she has more of an understanding, because she can look at a thing and much more correctly like determine what she's doing wrong, and like she can observe like, okay, this like some things are still like she just tries harder. Like, one of the pens, she was trying to put the the top on to it, or the cork, the cap. The cap. I mean, she was trying to put the cap on, and she had it at an angle where, like, it was kind of like bent, and so it wouldn't go on. And instead of like correcting the bend, she would just try harder. And that's kind of like a good metaphor um for when you're learning stuff, and instead of looking, like, instead of observing what the problem is, you just try harder, right? Instead of seeing that, oh shit, okay, I need to do it differently. Instead of thinking that, you think like, okay, why isn't this working? It's supposed to work, and then you just try harder and harder, but it doesn't work because you're doing it incorrectly, right? And instead of, many people, they have that, because things just get more and more complex, so it doesn't it isn't as easy as just adjusting the cap. Because to my little sister, she can't really comprehend the rotation, or the, like, the angle of the, like, what the difference in angle does. She doesn't understand that yet, right? And it's not because it is hard to, like, do it's not hard to, like, turn the cork for someone like me who has those brain pathways already. Like, I've learned them through so many other things. Like, whenever I pick up a new pen with a cap, I don't need to learn how to put on the cap. I just know it, because it's not because I just was born with it. Because if I was born with it, I could have looked at my little sister and thought like, oh my god, she's so stupid. She can't even put on a cap on a thing. But then when you see her figuring it out after like a few, like, 20 times, you're realizing like, oh shit, all of these things that I feel like I just know, I've always known, right? I've learned them at some point. And the fact that when she learns how to, like, when she learns the concept of uh like getting the angle correct on, like, connecting a cap, she can do that with any pencil, right? She could, like, most pencils. And that's kind of how learning to understand something is, instead of remembering stuff. Because you can understand something, and then you can, like, go away from it for a time, and then when you go back to it, you still have the ability to do the thing. But if you remember, if you like you the only way you do a thing is by remembering it. Whenever you forget and you come back to it, if you're not if you only remember if your only way of doing it is by remembering rules, you won't be able to do it if you have forgotten. But if you understand the process instead of just remember it, you can take years off from, or years away from doing a thing, and then you can come back and you can just seemingly just do it on a whim, right? And a lot of people, me included, like, before I learned before I was learning like a billion things at once, I used to think like, okay, I need to remember all of these things, and I need to make sure that I'm doing it by the rules and stuff. But now I've realized like I don't need to do them by the rules, but I need to realize, why do we have those rules? Like, why do you draw in a certain way, instead of just thinking like, okay, I need to draw in this way, right? Like, why is that a guideline? It's because it's easier to do this, or it makes this easier, and it makes it like um relying on intuition is so much better for like I feel like it's once you rely, or uh when you make yourself rely on intuition instead of uh trying to like trying really hard to like um do something, it can be so much easier. Like whenever I started learning the recorder, or started learning songs on the recorder, I would look at YouTube videos, and I would try making the like I would cover the holes that I was shown, or that was shown on the TV, or on in the video, and it would be so hard because like okay, I look at the picture and like I I cover up the holes and like okay, that's the right one, and then the next one is this. Okay, I gotta remember that, and then the next note is this. Okay, that's these, and then I don't remember, and then I gotta go through that so many times. But when I learned to just play it, like I started playing it more and more, and instead of thinking about which holes to plug, it's more about like I kind of make like an abstract shape in my head for each note, based on like the finger positioning, uh, and the shape is kind of, when I hear a note, it's kind of that shape, and I'm getting better at improvising. Kind of like I can hear a song, and I'm thinking like okay, it sounds like this shape, kind of like uh, I wouldn't say it's perfect pitch, but it's like it sounds like what it sounds like it's getting close to their type beat, because I can like hear the shape. It's not the like the where you like hair colors and like see tastes and stuff. It's more that I associate, like I get a mental picture. Like whenever someone says orange, like is talking about an orange, I get a picture of an orange in my head. Um, and I don't need to think like, okay, what does an orange look like? It just appears in my head whenever they say it. Like it happens so fast that it might as well been before they said it. Like I knew what they were saying, right? The pictures goes like in my head whenever somebody's talking, because like I don't know, I understand conversations through pictures. So whenever someone is talking and I don't get pictures, or if the pictures are unclear, like the meaning of them isn't instantly obvious, like for example if there's like a bunch of things in the same picture, or if there's like 10 pictures showing up at once, the meaning isn't really clear. So I'm just left there thinking like, okay, is it this? Nah, is it this? Nah, that would make sense. Is it this? Nah, maybe. But it could also be this. And so I just stare blankly out into the world, like trying to understand, but I'm not gonna understand by waiting, because the pictures aren't going to magically be understandable. It's more that they like I don't understand the pictures, but I still get the pictures. Uh, and I don't know. That's at least how I understand people when they're talking. Like I look at images in my head, or I get images in my head, and they describe what they're talking about. And if that image does not instantly like, or at least after some thinking, if it doesn't happen instantly, like if the picture doesn't make sense and I'm just sitting there like, is it like this? Like I'm trying to piece together puzzle pieces. Like, I get this new information. Where does it fit in? Because it usually it like if I'm learning something, it's kind of like the putting the cap on a marker. Like I don't need to learn to put on a marker every. Oh, there's a SIM card in my mom just sent me a message about SIM card in my mailbox. But okay, yeah. Um I I gotta remember that because I'm probably not gonna be home until then. I don't know. But yeah, I wouldn't need to relearn putting the cap on a marker, a different marker. Like I already have that neuron pathway connected. Like I already have that road in my head. And if I were to think of a different color pencil as a completely new task and like needing to make a new path in my road, like a road in my head for that different color, like it would be such a waste of energy and would be taking so much more time to learn something, right? Than to realize like, okay, this is basically the same as the blue marker, but it's pink. Okay, how does this change? Well, it's the same mechanical activation. It's it's like a different category, kind of. It's the same thing. Like, it's the same about like the fingering on the recorder versus the saxophone. It's kind of similar because you press like the notes are kind of in the same position, and so it's not that hard. Like it's kind of the same as like putting the cap on a pink marker compared to like a blue marker. It's the same mechanical thing. Of course the saxophone has like 38 keys and the recorder has 8. No, 7, I think. Yeah, because you have 6 and then one more. Yeah, 7, I think. No, 8 because you have the thumb hole or the bottom hole. Okay, yeah. So like the C is in the same, like this the C2 or whatever, like the high C is the same button on the thing, and the C, D, E, it's the same like layout, and the F I think is the same. I'm not sure. Like I don't know all of the notes. I'm learning more. I'm first trying to learn intuition. Like I'm trying to learn like, okay, this. I'm trying to build up the shape right in my head, like so I know which shape each note is, if that makes sense. Like if you haven't tried learning a musical instrument, or if you're not like learning a billion things at once, this might not make any sense because it might seem like, oh yeah, no, drawing and uh, drawing with a pen and like uh, or learning to draw with a pen and learning to play the saxophone, that's like completely different. There are no connections whatsoever, right? If you haven't learned either of those, it definitely doesn't seem like there's no connection. But when you like look at abstracts, like if you look more abstractly at things, Like, for example, like, how do I make these keys or this note? What shape can I make it to like remember much more easily than an F? Because an F, it's harder to, for example, like explosions, and now someone was opening the door downstairs. Um, uh, if I remember, like remembering the shape, like in the letter F is harder than a shape, like a shape that I associate with F, like with the note F. And the idea is that if I get good enough at making those shapes in my, like, if I get fast enough by getting used to making those shapes, like for example, getting faster at putting the cork on or the cap on to a marker, right? I don't need to relearn how to put on a cap on a marker. So if I learn a new instrument, I would know that, okay, I need to make those shapes in my head. For example, if I learn the piano, I would know, like I would have each chord as a shape in my head, like a distinct shape. And whenever I see the shape in my head, I play. I activate a certain like muscle memory, right? My brain just muscle memories uh, based on the shape that I have in my head. And so instead of thinking, okay, I need to press the C and the F or whatever, I just think of the shape and I press the keys like that's linked to that shape. Basically, like I do with Blender. I don't think, okay, I need to insert this or insert this and I need to extrude this and then I need to move this. I just do it because thinking about, okay, I need to insert here or inset here and I need to extrude here and then I need to move the camera to this angle. Thinking those things is a waste of energy and a waste of time. Doing those things, that's necessary. Like I have an abstract goal of like, okay, uh I need to make those corners rounder. And I since I've done those things so many times, I know that, okay, I want to use a bevel modifier for this because I don't want to do it no, I want to make it non-destructive. Yeah, I don't want to make it destructive. So I want to use a modifier, and then I set the modifier to weighted, and then I give the edge that I want a beveled edge, and then and that's kind of what I do. But I think the only thing that I think is like, okay, I need to make this edge round or rounded, or like, yeah. And then all the other subtasks to achieve that goal get done without me thinking that I have to do each individual step. It's the same as when you're like, that's intuition, I believe. Like I didn't know that like all time or at all times. I learned that from doing it a bunch of times. And the same thing is with those markers. Because when you put on a marker enough times, you realize like, okay, I don't need to think, okay, is it lined up? Is it the same like how far is it apart? Okay, is it lined up now? Okay, and then how much force do I need to put? You just do it because that's like you learn the thing, like it's intuition. When people say just do this, that's like that's when you use intuition. But if you don't have intuition for the thing, if you haven't learned to use intuition, or if you haven't learned the intuition, it's just going to it will sound like nonsense. people will be like, oh, you just do this, and then you try doing it, but you can't do it. It's kind of like the same as my sister not being able to connect the Duplo pieces, because she sees me putting them together and they stick together when I put them up to each other. But when she does it, they don't connect. Huh, curious, right? And because she didn't have the capacity to see why it didn't work. And the same is when somebody is learning something as complex as, like, or when it's not that you're stupid, it's just that it's more complex, right? Like learning how to draw perspective, for example. It's not that it's hard, it's more that it's a lot of it's a lot more variables you need to observe than the tilt or the angle of the cap and the force you use to put it on. Because my little sister didn't even, like, she didn't realize that she needed to push them even harder down to click them on, so they kind of just fell off. And so even though she managed to put them on, she didn't notice that she didn't complete the task. There were still like goals, there were still subtasks left to be done, right? She needed to push it just barely, like a tiny bit more before she put it down and like put on the marker on the, or the cap on the other one. I feel like my medicine has kicked in, because I'm feeling more awake now. The beginning of this episode has been so dull, probably, and like now I'm like so high energy. So when people see like the amount of time that it's like 2 hours almost, and like, oh my god, do I have to sit through this fucking boring thing? I guess that's the price to pay for these lessons. I don't even know if this makes any sense, or if, I don't know. But anyway, I digress. Yeah, no, so learning a thing like, for example, to play saxophone, it's not that it's a necessarily a hard thing to do, but it's more complex than putting a cap on a marker. It's still doable, right? My little sister might find putting Duplo together, she might find that difficult because her brain isn't fully adapted to thinking, like she doesn't know how to observe like the difference, like the slight differences in like rotation and the difference between the two sides. And that's kind of the same as like me not being able to sense the like bending the pitches and stuff with like the way I can like whistle and I can do different effects with my whistling. Like I have a very intuitive feel of whistling because I've done it so many times, or and for so long that I've built up the intuition. It's not because I'm born with the skills. It's because I've done the thing so many times that my brain is getting used to the variables, and is like open, like my consciousness is open to newer variables. Because if there were two, like if you had if your conscious brain could see all the variables, it would be way too difficult. It would be like trying to do like NASA level math when you don't understand math, right? If you maybe you understand like 2 plus 2, or like if you understand addition, but then you're like shown multiplication and like division and even like trigonometry, like it would just be overwhelming, right? So instead of trying to learn trigonometry before you learn addition, you start with addition, right? And then subtraction and then multiplication and division, right? You start with those because those gives you a framework to learn trigonometry or to learn uh, more complex things. Because yeah, it's important to learn in steps. Because if you jump over a step, you might fall down the entire staircase, or it might feel like you're falling down the entire staircase. You're not actually like falling down the staircase, but it seems like you're falling down the staircase. Or yeah, it's basically like jumping up stairs and then falling back down and then trying to jump up again, and just instead of starting by instead of realizing like you're not stepping on the steps correctly and like beginning at the start, like instead of that you're just jumping, you're trying to jump to the top or jump to the middle of the stairs from the bottom of the stairs, right? you're you're not gonna you're not gonna get into a thing and like stay motivated if you keep jumping up the stairs. You might have a lot of interest in it, like, oh yeah, I want to get into this stuff, I want to get up these stairs because the top seems so cool, I want to be able to play any song on the saxophone and like have such like amazing like sounds and stuff, and I want to be able to do that. I want to be at the top of those stairs. And so you start like crawling up. Like maybe you start very slow, or you might start very fast, like like trying different ways of jumping to see how far you can jump each jump. But then if you like if you get, let's say you hop up like 3 steps at a time, but then like the steps the faster you, the more steps you skip in the staircase, the taller each step becomes, because you don't have the fundamental knowledge that you learn like previously in the other steps. And so it might seem like it's just getting more and more complicated, but it's more that you're biting off more, or you're jumping higher than no, the stairs become further apart because you haven't taken all of the steps basically. And yeah, learning is kind of like, I feel like learning one instrument is a huge waste of time. Like just learning one instrument is a huge waste of time. Learning 10 instruments, it's more efficient because you will realize, like in my opinion, it would be way more efficient to learn 10 instruments than to learn just one. Even if you only have interest in one, like just learning one, it like you won't learn what's consistent between instruments, even if they're not, like if I started learning guitar as well as saxophone, they're very different. They're completely like, one is string based and one is like reed based woodwind instrument, right? And you wouldn't think those were equal, but there are definitely, like, I haven't learned guitar. I'm not learning it until like I tried learning it, but I realized that I didn't have the tools the brain tools to fully learn it, and I didn't have the interest either. And the interest is very important, because if you don't have interest, you won't be patient and you won't learn it. You won't stick with it long enough. But yeah, when you learn many different things, you start seeing the similarities between those different things. And so, for example, like if you were to let's say if you learn the putting the marker cap on the markers, and then you find a box. Let's say you find a box with a lid. You kind of know that lids, they go on and they have a specific like orientation that they need to go on. You can't put it on sideways, you can't put it on like upside down, right? You have to put it on like a specific direction, and you need to line it up, and you need to have efficient and the correct amount of pressure to click it on, right? And even though the shape and the look, or even the function of a marker is different from a box with a lid, they have the same thing you need to do. And that's kind of how I see instruments. Like they are they're different, but they're also similar. And I see that as like everything, every single thing that you can learn, like everything that your brain can adapt to, which is so many things. Like even the things that I think like, oh, these are so hard, and like, oh, I will never learn these. Like I know I will learn those things when I find a internal reason for me to put energy into it. And I know that when I try to learn those things, if I learn stuff like a lot of other things, like I will have more reference points to reference new information, and I can just hang that new information onto those like coat hangers that you put up. Because I like thinking of information as kind of like coat hangers sometimes, because sometimes you at least the way I learn new information, or the way I have like eureka moments, is kind of like I know something from from like another system of things. Like for example, Blender. Like if I know like something simple, let's say using several keys on the keyboard to do a shortcut, right? Like if I do let's say control C. Like if I learn a new program, I know that control C and control V, that will copy and paste, right? And that's kind of like an information coat hanger. Like I know that to be a thing that's common, and it's information that goes like that is usable in many places, right? And instead of thinking like, okay, I need to like learn how do I duplicate this and that, or like how do I copy this thing, like instead of thinking like how do I copy again, I do it because I have reinforced that coat hanger so hard. Like I know whenever I learn a new program, that is one of those things that I expect to be there. It's kind of a thing where I when it's not there, that's kind of the abnormal thing. like it's more normal that it's there, so my brain doesn't need to comprehend that it's supposed to be there. It's just there because I've realized, like it's so common knowledge, like the knowledge is so uh it's so universal, I mean, that it's when you learn it, you use it over and over and over again. And a lot of people, they might select the like if they're writing in Word, they might select text and right click and then copy. And of course that is perfectly valid. Like it is a way you can do it, but it's kind of like, I don't know, people who don't spend all their time on like computers and stuff, they don't learn the shortcuts that are, they don't yeah, they don't see the value in the, like the small things, like for example using control C control V instead of uh like right clicking, right? Because instead of having to look for for the thing in a list and like consciously like looking for the thing, uh you can just muscle memory it and you don't need to consciously think about it, right? But if you look at a menu, for example, if you select text and then you right click and then there's like 10 things on the menu and then you have to find copy, right? You need to consciously look and spot where copy is. Even if it takes you a short amount of time, it's still a thing that kind of, it's a small thing, but when you're doing it 100 times, it builds up, right? And you don't like, maybe you don't copy and paste all that much by, like, if you only work in Word or like stuff like that. But if you, for example, work in Excel, right, and you're trying to make a spreadsheet about stuff and you're making like hundreds of things. I'm not very good at Excel because I haven't really had a internal reason for like getting good at it. And I never liked it when I was in school because the way we would use it or the way we would learn it would be so boring and so like unintuitive, and it would be just painful to sit through. And that's kind of what I feel about most things about school. Like they didn't teach me in a way that my brain really wants to accept the knowledge. It's more that like they have a goal and then they have a road to get to that goal, and you need to follow that road that they have decided that you need to take, instead of having a goal and looking at like, okay, I need to find the road. And instead of like, I love having the free, like I love choosing that road myself. Like I don't want anyone else to choose that road for me. I like the discovery of like going down a road and like picking the road myself, even though it might be less efficient because I don't know necessarily which road I need to go down to learn what I need to learn. And often I do end up going down the wrong road, and it often helps to go down many different roads in many other things, because then I know that, okay, I can go down a wrong path, right? It's not that I'm incapable of learning it. It's more that I'm going down the wrong path and I'm going in with the wrong mindset, and my goals are either way too high or they're not achievable at the moment or with the road that I'm taking. And a lot of people, they don't understand that mindset of like, you can go down the wrong path. It's not because you're stupid, it's because there are infinite amounts of roads. Like your brain might see like, okay, this is one way to tackle it maybe, and then you do it and then it isn't. But if you think like that is the only way, only road to learn that information, then it's easy to think that, oh, I can't learn this thing. I can't learn to draw because the tutorial I watched doesn't make sense to me, right? Like if you look at one tutorial and that one tutorial doesn't work, it's not because you're stupid, it's because it's more likely that that road is not the one you should take, because maybe the person who made the tutorial has gone down different paths than you. Maybe they know, let's say they have more knowledge about they have more knowledge about drawing than you because they're making a tutorial. Some people don't really know what they're teaching others, and it's kind of annoying because I look at tutorials every now and then about Blender, and I hear people quoting other videos and them giving explanations about stuff that they don't actually understand, and it's infuriating because I've seen or I've heard beginners tell other beginners what they've heard from a video, where it like stuff like they don't even understand what the video was telling them, and the video didn't even understand what they were telling the beginners, and so it's just like eggs need to be boiled. Okay, or eggs need to be boiled at this and this temperature, and then somebody sees that and they say like, oh, and then they make like a video about how to boil eggs themselves, and it's like, okay, you need to boil the eggs, and then someone else sees that and they see like, okay, I want to make a tutorial about that. Okay, you need an egg. You need an egg, okay? And then somebody sees that and they make a tutorial about that. If you have an this is how you make boiled water, and like I don't know, it's a bad description because I'm trying to simplify it for people who don't understand the complex things, but it's essentially kind of like distilling it more and more because you don't know what is actually important about the video if you don't understand it. Like a lot of people make tutorials because it's their job and stuff, and they need to, like, everyone has made like beginner tutorial for beginners and stuff, and it's kind of like, bro, why do you make like it's an intro to making tutorials, I guess, because I would like strongly recommend like the donut tutorial to people, but people see the donut tutorial and think like, I don't want to make a donut. I don't care about donuts. I want to make a character and I want to rig it and I want to make a video game, right? And it's kind of the same as like them not being able to see the connection between a box and a box with a lid and a marker cap thingy, right? Because when you learn the tools, and methods to make a donut, you can model more things than just a donut, right? You're not putting the cap on the pink marker and only learning how to put the cap on the pink marker. You're also learning how to put the cap on the blue marker and the green marker, and even the pen and the lid on the box, right? If you think of each lesson as a specific thing, you only learn that specific thing because that's the only thing you associate with that knowledge. And if you only associate the knowledge with that one thing, I don't know. It's I'm getting kind of riled up because I don't know. I see so many people like they don't understand the fact that the more different things they learn, the more broader their knowledge gets. And like it's but then again, it's often that they're at their start of learning the like a lot of things, because I everyone needs to start by learning something, right? And I've had the fortune of like having the ability to start so many things, because I I was so into photographer wow, I was so deep into learning photography, or I was so interested in learning photography, and I had the opportunity to like I didn't need to invest any money into starting photography, because my grandfather had or he has a lot of photography gear, and a lot of the photography gear that I do have right now is is from borrowing through him. And if I hadn't had that, it would be the barrier of entry is so much higher, and the lower you can the the lower the barrier of entry is, the easier it is to start learning. And that's kind of how it is with everything, I at least from my point of view. Because for example, if I started uh, if I looked at looked online for saxophones, and I saw that everything, like the cheapest saxophone was like 10 grands, like 10 grand US dollars or something, I wouldn't be able to buy one, right? I wouldn't have the opportunity to get one if unless I found a place where they have one already. But then I wouldn't be able to play at home if I wasn't able to like have one at home. And therefore it's uh, it would be harder to start learning saxophone if I couldn't buy one. And it's not free. Like I didn't buy one not for free, like right, I needed to spend a little bit of money, but I also knew that that money I could put it in a savings account, right? And I could watch it grow over the next 10 years. But I could also, like, that money might grow, like, let's say, to maybe double amount in like a few years. But my skills, from me investing that money into a hobby, or like a passion, for example, like learning to play the saxophone, my skill level in those years that money would have maybe doubled, I would have learned so much more than I would if I just didn't buy the saxophone. And that's why I feel like that's why I justify spending so much money on hobbies, because I know that, like, yeah, I could invest that money and like earn interest each year, but I could also earn interest of knowledge, right? And if I just sat on money and had like investments and like had no hobbies or no things that I spent my time on, I might have a little bit more money, but I wouldn't have the knowledge from all of the things, and I wouldn't have the practice of like, and I wouldn't have the principles and the mindsets that allow me to learn stuff as efficiently, or the confidence in myself and my abilities to learn certain things. Like, it would be lower, and I wouldn't have as much fun, right? Because like, what do you do with, like, it's not like a lot of money, but it's like, it could be like